Welcome back. Today, I wanted to do something a little bit different as opposed to my traditional kind of just talking head videos. And that is actually answering a handful of questions that I've seen online, as well as right here on the channel. And without further ado, I just want to dive straight into it. So that way we can start talking about kind of what you're talking about. So right off the gate from Cinema Psychos Pod. Sorry about that, bro. The question is, does having long form clips on the same channel as long form podcasts hurt your channel in the overall algorithm? So he goes on to say that they've had amazing success with shorts, but as you said, they didn't lead to long form views. He goes on to say that they had one viral video one short go viral at 2.5 million views. Congrats, but you'll see why it's like, quotes, congrats. It did get them 3,000 subscribers, but none of those folks actually watched long form episodes. So again, that's the work of the devil right there, is having a YouTube short on a long form podcast channel go viral, because it absolutely cannibalizes your channel. The people that come in for the short form content, they don't stick around to watch the long form stuff. So even if they subscribe, YouTube shows them your stuff. They skip over it because they don't want long form. They just want that quick dopamine hit. They don't watch the long form stuff, and then they take off. So again, if you want to do shorts, by all means, go ahead. We're going to talk about that in like some more short form stuff, because apparently that's what a lot of people want to know about. If you want to, go ahead, but I would say create a separate channel, like completely different channel. And you would essentially treat it like a different social media account. And when I say different social media account, I literally mean like something on a different platform, because the chances of people going from your clips channel on YouTube to your long form channel on YouTube is 0.01%. Like, it's just not going to happen, because people scrolling and, wasting time while they're taking a dump or something, they're not going to then stop everything to go subscribe to you and watch you on YouTube. I do believe, though, he was talking also about long form clips. So something that I have promoted and talked about extensively, and I'm going to keep, screaming about it, is segments. So a segment meaning we're going to repurpose a segment from your long form episode, 5 to 20 minutes or so. Repurpose that one segment from your hour-long podcast, re-upload that as a standalone video. So its own hyper-focused title, solid thumbnail, and then also trailer if you're capable of doing that. If not, just dive right in. I've done both. I do like doing trailers, which we're going to also talk about in a second here. But that's how you are going to have at least twice the impact with not doing twice the amount of work. And I say at least because there's a really good chance that those segments actually do significantly better on the platforms, just because the amount of investment for somebody to watch that is significantly lower, but the payoff is significantly higher. Because again, like if I send you a video on whatever it is, we'll just take Joe Rogan, because that's like a perfect example. And I'm like, dude, you have to check out this interview. They're talking about aliens and all kinds of weird stuff. And you look at it and you're like, dude, it's 3.5 hours long. Like, shoot, I guess the next time I drive to LA, I'll put it on. But, for like my daily commute or, my 10-minute walks, like, man, it's going to take me like a month to finish that episode. But if I say this was the best part of that interview and it's only like 10 minutes long, like, okay, yeah, I'll check this out right now. Chances are you're going to be so hooked on whatever that they were talking about, you're going to want to find more information. And then eventually you watch another, segment from that episode, or you watch the whole thing. So that's how that goes. I would definitely not waste time. I'll get to that in a second, but I would not hurt my YouTube channel by publishing short form content on the exact same channel. If you just have this crazy desire to spend a lot of time and money on short form content, create a separate channel, but also with the understanding that it's not going to bring you more business. It's not going to bring you more subscribers to the stuff that actually matters. You're just going to have some cool metrics on a completely separate channel. And I wish I could sugarcoat it, or I wish I could, kind of manipulate the truth to not hurt so many people, but that's just the cold hard facts there. Another question for Miss Michelle 224, a good friend of the show. She's been super awesome. Really appreciate her checking out the channel and always commenting and that sort of thing. On a previous video, she asked, what are your clients saying about AI? Are you seeing them use it and dilute their brand? After I reached back out and kind of wanted some clarification, she asked, are you seeing people use AI to develop word for word script per se that turns into a total disingenuous experience versus someone coming up with content on their own? Thankfully, no, I have not seen it personally. I work with some really, really cool people, but as I explained to her, I have seen where one of my clients wanted to script out everything word for word, including guest interviews. And unfortunately, what happened with that is as they would, start recording, as I make sure I hit record, because sometimes that happens, as they're recording, they stumble on the script, so like, are you seeing people use AI let me just start this whole line over. Andrew, please edit this part out. And it was just like, it would take a couple of days to edit one simple podcast episode because they were scripting everything out. Now, the difference between that and I guess them using AI to script it out is just that at least it was in their voice. But I would almost say it's probably just as bad with AI, except we know that AI is taught to write based off of what is already written. And it's sort of like, I'm a photographer. So like I've seen these tests where you copy and paste a JPEG, you save it, and then you do it again and you save it, and you do it again and you save it. And you do that like 1,000 times, whatever the tests were back in the day. Each time you do it, it gets a little bit more pixelated. At first, you can't even tell. The first 100 times, you're like, well, I guess. But then after 500 times, you're like, whoa, if you look at the first one and then the 500th one, dude, that's a huge difference. It went from like Xbox or PS5 back to Atari. Like, damn, I didn't even realize it looked that bad. And then you do it more and more and more and more, and it gets worse. I think that's what AI is doing to a lot of just content in general, but it's just sort of copying everyone, but copying it a little bit worse. So you have the original, content or copy, whatever you want to call it. AI copies that, and it's not as good, but it's pretty close. And you're like, damn, that was sick. Okay. But then the next person copies that one, or the next LLM copies that one. And then just kind of goes on forever. That's not to say that AI can't help you. AI has absolutely, I use it every day when it comes to production and stuff. But a majority of everything I publish, I at least use AI to help me with the structure of what I want to talk about, how I want to talk about it, especially the introductions of my videos. Cause you only have a couple of seconds to try to hook somebody. And so that's where I use it. Now, thankfully, again, I have not seen anybody use it 100%. Where I have seen it and where I am definitely guilty of overusing it is in something like LinkedIn. You go to LinkedIn and dude, it is AI posts, AI replies, and it's just a bunch of AIs talking to each other and making each other feel good because you see a bunch of likes and comments on your posts. Where I use it is to help me repurpose what I'm recording right now into a LinkedIn newsletter, which now has, I've published 4 different articles. I think it has 100 subscribers on it now. I'm like, holy, that makes me feel good. But then I'm like, who's actually watching this stuff? Is it just people taking it and then repurposing it? So again, that is a different realm. So it's not necessarily right here and now with what I'm talking about with podcasting and recording videos. But does it sound like me? I think so. It kind of does, right? Because I force the AI to say, hey, speak in my language, talk like me and that sort of thing. And so that's a little bit different though. I'm not then taking that and then recording a podcast and recording that word for word. I'm just sort of using it to repurpose content. So even though I'm guilty AF of doing that, I'm not going to then use that and repurpose something to pretend that it's 100% me. So again, thankfully, I haven't seen it. I could see this happening a lot though, especially with like AI just simply taking over everything. But again, with podcasting, especially with like interviews and that sort of thing, it's pretty hard to fake it. You really have to, you could fake it, but everybody's going to like kind of sniff that out. And I think if you can be more you and just have conversations and this is a sidetrack thing, but like flex your expertise without faking it. That's really where like the sweet spot is. So like, I know Michelle, she's a competitive, I think bikini, or I'm just going to say bodybuilder for just anybody that's like generally understanding. Like she gets super shredded and she jumps on stage. Like she could hold a conversation about how she does that. She doesn't have to pretend to know how to do that. She can just talk about that. She doesn't need AI to tell her how to talk about that. Now, maybe the structure, or maybe like she doesn't understand what an engaging intro might sound like. So she can tell AI, hey, I'm going to talk about all this. Can you help me formulate a super solid 15-second introduction? Boom. And then she can follow that. And then the rest is all her. That is going to be the way that you should probably lean into AI like that. Now, again, those were 2 questions from people on this channel. So if you have any questions, please hit that subscribe and ask away. As you can see right now, my channel is still very small. I don't get a ton of views. So any question or comments that comes in, I see it. I would love to say that at some point that's not going to be possible, because then that would mean that I'm getting a lot of traction. But until then, I'm easily accessible. So if you have any questions, you're giving me an excuse to talk about the thing that I love. So please don't hesitate and ask away. These next questions are coming from Reddit. Now, this first one, what was the hardest part for you when starting a podcast? This currently has 18 upvotes and 38 comments. For this person, he goes on to say, for me, it was scheduling interviews. Well, that's fun, because if it's hard for you to schedule interviews, just don't do them. I'm a huge proponent of not borrowing authority. Now, I just talked about how my channel's not very big, and I'm okay with that because I honestly don't know where this channel is even going yet. We're barely getting started, but I'm going to be super proud and grateful when it does start to grow and blossom and become something cool. But I don't want to do that by interviewing bigger names to draw more attention to my channel, because once those people leave my channel, meaning the person I interview, well, no one's going to come back just for me if they came for them. So, I could easily dip into my phone and text somebody and say, hey, do you want to record an episode? And that person will have some true authority. They'll have a big name and a big following, and they're more than happy to do it. I will brag about this and say that, yes, I've received messages from people with big followings that said, hey, I would love to go and record something with you. And I've thanked them and I said, yes, when the time comes, because the time will come. Again, once I start to get a little bit more traction, figure out where this channel is going, I'm definitely going to bring on people to interview and kind of get their insights and figure out how they got to where they are. But it's going to be with you in mind. I'm not going to ask questions just to ask questions. I'm going to ask questions on, podcasting and how they use their podcast for business and that sort of thing. It's not going to be just random stuff about fitness or business or whatever. It's going to be for you specifically, but I'm definitely not going to start there. And so in the beginning, if you don't have a name yet, and if you are, again, also trying to figure out where your channel is going and you can't get people on your podcast, that's cool. Be you first, figure out what your channel stands for, then start reaching out. And one way is you can use something called podmatch.com. I have been getting some pretty cool inquiries about jumping on other people's podcasts by just putting my profile up there. I did one and it was really, really good. I had a lot of fun. I might repurpose some of the content from it, but that's one way you can attract people to your show, because it's sort of just like, what's it called? When you go and like people set up in a parking lot and you trade stuff, golly, what's that called? Not a market. Oh my gosh. But anyway, people are basically exchanging, come on my show and I'll go on your show type of a thing. What is that called? It's going to drive me nuts. But anyway, in the beginning, don't worry about pulling people onto your show. Just podcast solo, talk about what you're going to talk about, flex your expertise, and have people come to you essentially. But if they never do, well, good for you, because you want to build that authority platform, not rent authority. And then as soon as somebody leaves, the audience leaves with them. This next question, there was actually a couple people asked this in different ways, but basically, how should a podcast intro start? So the first one has 10 upvotes, 39 comments. And what they say is they usually just start talking, but it feels like the listener's walking into a room where the conversation has already started. And to that, I say, that's freaking great. But then we'll go on to the next one. And this is kind of the opposite, where they said they tried trailers and intros, but people move on as soon as the trailer's over, and they're wondering if they should just jump into the conversation. Excuse me. I'm drinking another Ghost today. These are pretty good. I've never had them. Just got them at Costco though. But so it's two people asking the same question coming from different approaches. Absolutely no intro, just jump right into it. And another one with the intro and then having people fall off. I would say if you don't, again, have that structure that we just talked about, where you're going to like lay everything out or give some like really engaging hooking quote or something, then a trailer is really good. So the way I work with my clients, oftentimes I have to reverse engineer a good episode. So if I'm not there at the start to say, hey, like this person did XYZ, I need you to ask them like this really hard hitting question right away. And the pushback I get is like, well, like nobody knows who he is and nobody like, why are they going to like they're going to be really confused. I'm like, that's kind of a good thing. If I talk to, I don't know, I'm just going to say this like random scenario where somebody, deadlifted over 1,000 pounds. I'm going to be like, I would start the conversation with, hey dude, so what was it like deadlifting 1,000 pounds? And then they might go into it and then it's like, wait, what? Like, who is this person? He just deadlifted 1,000 pounds. I can't even comprehend what that's like. Versus, hey man, so when did you start working out? Like, well, who cares? Like, one is like, oh my God, what did you just say? And the other one is like, all right, here's a boring backstory that is not going to help me right now. Or again, that's the other thing too, is like, hey, if somebody is currently stuck at 500 pounds, how do they start deadlifting 600 pounds? Get into the nuts and bolts right away. So if I'm not there to sort of lay that out there, I have to find those quotes somewhere in the episode and then cut out a trailer to put in front of the episode, so long as that matches the thumbnail and the title, meaning the title is going to promise something. The first 30 seconds needs to deliver on that promise. And again, the thumbnail is also a part of that promise. If either one of those three don't align, well, then everyone's gone. So if you are going to jump right into the conversation, you better start somewhere that's somewhat interesting. If you start the conversation with, hey man, so like, how did you get into all this? Or, what's the origin story about how you started XYZ or whatever? Like, I guess maybe that's pretty good. But you want to start with something somewhat hard hitting, actually very hard hitting. Then you can get back to the journey, right? Because if somebody hears something that's interesting, that is beneficial to them, then they're going to be locked in. If they hear about how this person, I don't know, they used to live somewhere in certain state, certain small town with, X amount of people, like no one cares. I'm sorry, but nobody cares. Nobody cares about that stuff. People are very I'll say greedy, and it's like, so what? Who cares? That's really what you have to answer every single time you put out something. This video right now, questions I have on my podcast channel. So what? Who cares? Well, these are some questions that I'm receiving, so I'm going to reiterate them and give fuller, deeper context and better answers. So hopefully that helps out more people. So what? Who cares? Answer that question, and that will help with that trailer and that initial podcast intro, or jumping right into the conversation. Let's go on to the next one. I love this one. So this one only has 12 upvotes, but 25 comments. And basically they're asking, how do you handle clipping volume without burning out? A little bit more context. They produce 3 episodes a week, 90 minutes each. Good for you guys. And cutting shorts has taken over their week. That's amazing. You're doing so good, and then you just throw it all away. What I was just talking about at the start of this video, like, if shorts are taking over your week, just stop. Like, I promise you, if you stopped, your growth will not stop. Nothing will stop. The only thing that will stop is you feeling burnt out. If you just love putting out shorts, then go ahead, but don't kill yourself doing it. This person's already doing 3 90-minute podcast episodes per week. Like, that's incredible. Do more of that, or do the segment strategy. So instead of cutting out, like 90 videos per week or whatever, just do like 3 really hard-hitting segments, repurpose those on your current YouTube channel, and grow your podcast. If you want to do it for awareness, sure, go ahead and publish those shorts across, almost said LinkedIn, although you could do that too, but I don't think it's going to do very well. But across like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook for sure. And again, depending on the style of content, then maybe LinkedIn does make sense. YouTube Shorts on a separate channel, yes. On your main channel, heck no, because you're just spinning your wheels. One of my absolute favorite reactions I've gotten on a client call was this was just a consulting client, if I can say that word correctly. They were asking the same question. They're like, dude, like, we're really trying, man. We're putting out shorts everywhere, every single day, and we're just not growing. And they were talking about how frustrating that was and how much time and energy it was taking. And it was just like making everything kind of like suck for them. And so I just flat out said, then don't do them. If you don't like doing the short form repurposing stuff, if you don't like clipping, stop doing them. And like, the look of relief on their face was just so cool, because it's not going to really help you. Like, if you are trying to sell something and you're hoping that repurposing your content's going to help sell that, like, it's not. If you're hoping that the short form content on other platforms is going to bring people into your YouTube channel or your podcast, it's not. If you think that publishing shorts on your current YouTube channel is going to explode your YouTube channel, because then people are going to follow that short to your long form content, it's not. I've seen this happen over and over, and we've seen it right now with somebody commenting on this channel where they have admitted that getting a viral short or a short to go viral led to nothing. And I've seen it actually hurt channels. So just don't do it. Like, I would say repurpose content that is just going to build the podcast channel. Again, I said this on that recent interview I just mentioned. If you want to grow your podcast, focus on growing your podcast. If you want to focus on growing your social media, then go ahead, do that, because that's what that's going to do. It's not going to grow your channel. It doesn't convert. I'm sorry to say. And I know I'm going pretty hard in the paint on this, but it's because I see it way too often. And it's kind of crazy to me that people like, brands, I should say, like YouTube will say, oh, this is the #1 way to grow your channel is repurpose shorts. And they're even adding the AI clipping inside of YouTube. It's not going to do anything for your channel. So I would say definitely just ignore it. If you want to repurpose something, repurpose long form segments. Again, 5 to 20-minute segments that cover one specific piece of content within your long form piece of content. repurpose that, because that's going to double the impact at least, but not require double the amount of work. So yeah, this was a fun video that I wanted to make. Again, a little bit different than what I'm normally doing, but let me know what you think about it. And of course, any questions you have, please do not hesitate, because it just gives me an excuse to either answer that right off the cuff or do some research, because I don't know what people don't know. And if there's something out there that you want to know, just ask me, and I would love to record another video like this and answer away. So yeah, again, please subscribe and please drop those comments and just pursue it. Peace.